Now, please welcome Caitlin Burzak, Vice President of Product at Therabody, Ali Hayeri, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Mountain, and Ryan Joe, Editor-in-Chief at ADWEEK.
Hey everyone. So throughout this conference, we've talked about using social media to drive your business. Yesterday, I was on stage with Dash Hudson and the Inky List to talk about using engagement to drive revenue. And today, we're going to drill a little deeper into that and talk about the specific strategies and eventually the metrics that you can use to do that. So I am here with Caitlin Burzak, VP of Product at Therabody, and Ali Hayeri, SVP of Marketing at Mountain, to talk about their social strategies and the data that's driving those strategies. Now, Therabody is a B2C company, and Mountain is a B2B company. So they're going to have really different perspectives on what works for them. So I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with Caitlin.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. So I lead digital for Therabody, which is the creators of the Theragun, which we're known for. So everything from our e-commerce platforms, how we're engaging with consumers in different digital touch points, our app, and of course, how social integrates into all of that and brings our data to life.
And Ali?
Senior Vice President of Marketing at Mountain, run everything from digital marketing, specifically performance marketing, product marketing, the sales development organization, just sort of everything in between.
Great. So as I mentioned, we've got a B2B marketer here. We've got a B2C marketer here. I'd imagine you guys use different social channels to drive your business. Ali, why don't you start? What are the most important social channels for you?
I think unsurprisingly for any of the B2B marketers here or just social media marketers and your familiarity with channels, LinkedIn is really crucial for us, both from a paid and organic standpoint. But something that we'll probably talk about today as well is that a lot of the channels that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see a B2B brand, we're finding some success with, for example, Instagram, TikTok. We've started to really kind of do some interesting things, which has been great as a B2B brand because you just have so much space. Your competitors really aren't sort of like cramping your style on these classically B2C focused social media channels.
And so what's Therabody's perspective on this?
Yeah, so we lean very heavily into, of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, some of the places really where our consumers and where our audience are. We reach a very wide range of consumers, anywhere from the athlete to the parents to even kind of getting into older generations. So we're on a very wide variety and want to have different touch points given, your parents might be on Facebook, but, Gen Z is always pushing to the next platform. So we're really trying to stay ahead of that, but really looking at where we can lean into engagement really organically and kind of touch the different aspects of our community. It's also the place where we can, engage and kind of hear what's going on, kind of get feedback from a product development standpoint, and kind of really drive the edutainment aspect since our products are complicated. And when you can see it and believe it, that's where we really find that we connect with our audiences.
Right. And obviously, when we talk social, there's organic and then there's paid. And, I was kind of wondering how, do they work together? Do you keep them separate? And Caitlin, why don't you answer that? And I think there's also a photo asset that we can queue up.
Yeah. So yes, I think we have to think of them together, separate in terms of their different objectives, but we have to think of them together as well. From an organic standpoint, that's where we want to be really fit within the channel and feel very natural. We work heavily with different creators. We have a program called The Movement where we want to see people see how our products can fit into their everyday lives and kind of understand how to use them. If you've, torn an ACL or if you're having trouble sleeping, when you can relate to how someone is showing you how to use our smart goggles or how to use our Theragun Sense, it feels like, I just found a solution. I understand. I can kind of create that change. Where on the paid side, it's really leaning into, the different, first party versus third party data. We have the third-party data from the platforms, and that allows us to reach new audiences. and get outside of who is already part of our ecosystem and kind of pull people into to that lead nurture. One of the, I think you'll see kind of up on the screen, one of the campaigns is called the Workout Called Life. That has been across all of our channels, and it's really kind of leaning into those authentic moments. I think any parents in the room, this will probably resonate with. Of there's parenting is a workout, and it can be very physically demanding. So we wanted to kind of connect with those audiences and see, this is how it fits in with your lives.
How about you, Allie? How do you think about paid versus organic, and how it all works together and fits together?
I think in our case, as a B2B brand, paid LinkedIn is probably where most of the action is happening for us from a social standpoint. Something that probably is obvious to the B2B marketers is the kind of action that you get from LinkedIn. If you're using it just to drive demo requests, is commonly the most common objective for a lot of B2B marketers, usually doesn't really work out that well for advertisers. If you just throw up an ad that says, this is a great product, sign up for a demo, it's probably going to get pretty terrible performance. And so even in the paid realm, we still need to find ourselves to be entertaining in some sort of way, have some really compelling assets, do some somewhat unusual things. And so, LinkedIn is something that you just kind of have to really have a really, cohesive strategy as a B2B marketer, because one big consideration I have as a digital advertiser a lot, and this also extends to just social media marketing sensibility, is what the end user experience is on these social channels. And you can just think about your own experience on these channels. Your strategy for creative on a platform like X, for example, where if someone's scrolling, you're blowing past hundreds of posts and they're kind of interrupting it with ads. And so that time span that you have with someone is just so incredibly short. And that influences the decisions you make from a creative standpoint with a channel like that, as opposed to something like LinkedIn. It's a larger ad unit. You're going to see them a lot more infrequently compared to the other ads. The other aspect of awareness of what other people are doing is, what are the other ads that someone is going to be exposed to during that session? In the case of B2B, I could just tell you, it's your LinkedIn feeds. It's download this guide, download this ebook, we cracked the code on this, CMOs hate this strategy, or whatever, sort of tagline that they use. And we like to parry off of that a lot of times too, just to be clever. We kind of lean into that. One of the things that we did last year was we took a white paper, like a pretty vanilla mountain white paper, and then we just annotated it with scribbles in the margins, where we're kind of drawing stupid sketches you would draw in high school math class, but also trying to explain things in plain language and cross stuff out. And we're just kind of making fun of the very sort of ad campaign that everybody else is running on.
Did Ryan Reynolds?
He drew a little Deadpool in there. Yeah. You go see it yourself.
I imagine he's working on Deadpool, and he's I should write that mountain white paper.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad you brought up how your creative strategies differ between the different platforms, and I wanted to dive into that. But before we do, I think we have a video to cue up from Mountain.
This is social media. It's always been a dumpster fire, but lately, for brands, it's been extra dumpstery. How do I know so much about the subject? I'm Ryan Reynolds. I spend a lot of time on social media, which is why I recommend you advertise on Mountain Performance TV. You get all the benefits of digital, selecting your audience, budget, and seeing real-time performance combined with the safety and comfort of TV. I love a Yuletide dumpster.
Did you come up with that ad? Did you have any notes when you were putting it together?
First thing, I'll let Ryan know that I went to ADWEEK Social Media Week, and I showed an ad where he opens with social media as a dumpster fire. Yeah, so the thing about Ryan and the creative is, the most common question I get is, does Ryan really work at Mountain? The answer is yes. And the ads that you see, either that one or some of the other crazy stuff that we've done, Ryan comes up with over text message. It's a really lean process, which also, there's a bit of a tangent, but I think you'll appreciate it. Sometimes when I see my team or other marketers overthink processes and have really complicated go-to-market documents and all of that, it's just crazy to me, because with Ryan, you text a couple of times, 3 days later, the video is made. Sometimes we get voiceover from Ryan on his iPhone, and we just use that in ads. So like, I think sometimes we kind of overcomplicate things as marketers, and in a lot of instances, these things can just come together pretty quickly. But yeah, that came together at a moment where, at the time, Twitter was kind of having a interesting moment in the news, and he just kind of got that idea. It was very timely. But this is not breaking news to this audience. But when you can put together an asset that's super timely and relevant, it performs really well.
And before I get to my next question, I also think we have a video from Therabody as well.
Yes.
Get ready with me. Oh. This is my new obsession. No, it's not for your neck or your back. This is the TheraFace Pro. There's LED light therapy, red, blue, and infrared. It's detachable, and there's 3 different type of percussive attachments. There's a microcurrent attachment to get that cheekbone lift, honey. And there's a cleansing ring, so when you turn it on, it vibrates as you're cleansing. Also sold separately is a cold ring. It's cold. And a hot ring. I'm gonna take my favorite cleanser, turn it on. There's 3 settings, and massage this into the face. Ooh. Especially around the nose area to get that gunk. Let it feel so nice and relaxing. So after cleansing my skin and exfoliating, I'm gonna go ahead and attach the LED light. I have a double right here, and the blue light is gonna help with preventing acne. If you're a licensed esthetician, you would know. If you're an esthetician student, you would know. Next, applying some toner, a hydrating serum. Oh, I love skincare. Attaching the cold ring, make sure the snowflake is on. This is like a freaking ice cube without going to the freezer. This feels so good. This is just gonna close all my pores. Oh my God. You need this. It is literally on sale for the holidays right now. Grab it, the TheraFace Pro.
Is that literally on sale for the holidays right now?
It was on sale for the holidays.
Okay.
But keep an eye out, promotions at any time. Mother's Day is coming up. So I think that's a really great example of, you mentioned stopping power and kind of fitting organically kind of within the channel. I mean, obviously Get Ready With Me is huge on TikTok. I think this is a really great example of how, for our beauty segment, we knew we had to do something different. It's not a Theragun, obviously. So kind of working with, a creator like Patrick Starr, who created this really organic and just authentic video and just brought to life really what the TheraFace Pro did. You saw the different attachments. It can be a complicated device, but so seamlessly put it together of, this is your step-by-step routine. This is how you can just put it into your day. These are the results you can get. So we saw kind of great success from that. And also just the stopping power within TikTok. I think it can lean, right? Like, people are sitting on TikTok scrolling for hours, like, as you guys know, scrolling for hours instead of watching Netflix, instead of watching, their favorite TV show. It's really their entertainment now. So just being able to be a part of that and be a part of that narrative, especially within beauty, has been extremely impactful for us as a business.
So that was a TikTok.
That was a
video.
TikTok.
If
yes.
you were going to do something on Instagram, like, how would it be, or core Facebook, how would it be different? What would you do differently?
Yeah, so core Facebook, I think, has, if you think about kind of who the audience of who's there, and then also the format as you're looking through your newsfeed. It is very much more of that editorial news style. It would need to be shorter, probably lean into more of the sales aspect, really more of like the mid to lower funnel, so less of the kind of entertainment aspect likely, but more of that kind of more traditional kind of performance marketing angle. And Instagram kind of probably similar, but kind of shorten it a bit, fit within stories, fit within kind of a shareable format, just to fit within kind of the ethos of the channel.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned about like lower funnel performance, because I was actually kind of wondering about the data you get from all of these different channels. I guess, what sort of data are you not getting that you would like to get from TikTok, from Instagram, from core Facebook, and do you guys have any workarounds to get it?
Yeah. So it's a great question. If like data with social platforms is always the big question. I don't know if it's what we're not getting, or it's more kind of the believability of the data that we are getting. So we, as I mentioned, kind of are doing a lot of kind of reaching third party into new audiences. So if you want to be able to target a pet lover, or a mom who has kids under 10, or someone in healthcare, or kind of a different type of industry, you hope that you're reaching them. You can put all the parameters in, but whether or not the level of accuracy of that is always a question. So you're always trying to be as relevant as possible with the messaging and where you're driving them, but it's a little bit trial and error. And we watch that, we see what works, we fine tune, and we evolve as we kind of push the campaigns forward. And it's also seeing what happens once they get to your site.
Allie, do you have any believability issues when it comes to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and or LinkedIn?
I mean, we have a couple of things that we do. One is monthly brand awareness surveying. So there's great platforms out there. The one we use is called Suzy. I've been very happy with it. Very affordable too. And so for 2 years now, every single month, like clockwork, we just survey marketers, and it just gives us a consistent brand awareness measurement that we can now look to and understand what the evolution of the awareness of the brand has been. And that's one data point for us to understand how these campaigns are actually moving the needle. Because in those instances, we can ask people precisely where they learned about Mountain for the first time. To the point about performance, one of the things that we do, we're a performance marketing platform, so that stuff really matters to us. We eat our own dog food. We're a streaming TV advertising platform. We use our platform to run ads on streaming TV. And the interplay between that and social has been important for us. We run campaigns on TV. We get an avalanche of site visits. A quarter of all of our site visits come from the TV campaigns that we run. And then we retarget everybody with social media campaigns on all platforms. And so that's been a really nice way to use TV to kind of tee up the top of the funnel, and then use social campaigns to kind of continue the message and get people ultimately to convert.
What do you do if you don't trust the data? Like, do you talk to your meta rep? Do you just tell the CFO that the campaign performed beyond your wildest imagination? Like, what's the strategy there?
Yeah, I think looking at your other data sources as well and triangulating. So that's the nice thing. What we're doing, a lot of what we're doing is, some of the engagement metrics, I think probably have a little bit more faith in them. It's really more when you go to the paid and the attribution, right? The platform's always going to want to attribute more sales, more results as they can. So, it's how they measure view through and what is always a little fuzzy. We rely heavily on, our site, our e-commerce data, our Google Analytics data, and looking at, okay, where and tagging, like ensuring that we have really tight tagging and that all the proper information is flowing through. And then it's just about comparison and kind of weaving measurement is an art and a science, and kind of looking at all of the kind of different data points holistically. And then you can kind of see the true picture really emerge from that and can make informed decisions from that.
How about from your perspective, Allie?
I as a B2B marketer, and I'm listening to you talk, it's just like fortunately, I don't have that same pressure that you have. The expectations that D2C social media marketers have is the stakes are so high. Not just because of the conversion expectations that you have from these channels, but because it's a slugfest with a million other advertisers that you're going at it with. And back to that point about the end user experience, when someone's scrolling through that feed, they might not necessarily see your direct competitors, but a lot of people are going after the same dollars, which is tough. And so I'm kind of like pathetically a B2B marketer going like, wow, that sucks. Yeah.
It's a hustle. We hustle for the dollars.
In my case, I'm just like, the platform gives me data, and I'm just like, that's useful in some sort of way. The real point of the matter is that for us, social media is instrumental to what we do. It's demonstrated to be an important awareness driver for us. Especially using Ryan's assets, Ryan's own accounts, all of that. These things absolutely move the needle in an impactful way. But at the end of the day, we have a demand generation machine, and that thing is like optimized to the bone. And it's the social data is directional for us. It's useful, but we're not kind of agonizing over it in a way that a B2C marketer understandably does.
When you said you were using Ryan's assets for a while, that you were talking about me, and I got
yes, you, yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask Caitlin a little bit about TikTok Shop because it's pretty new.
Yes.
Has that influenced your strategy on TikTok at all?
Absolutely. And in kind of working with different creators and getting what the right product mix is, we just initially launched a TikTok Shop at CES this year, which was kind of a very big deal for us, and excited to kind of be one of the first brands to really get out there on that platform, and are continuing to work with TikTok to build that out. It's as we think of, it again comes back to that stopping power and the believability and kind of the edutainment that I mentioned. It's how can we put the right products there? I think we're still figuring out, what is the right mix? Is it a lower priced impulse buy? Is it a luxury good? And how can we find the right messaging, the right creators to work with in order to kind of bring these products to life? Is when you're sitting on your couch at night flipping through, you're like, yes, I need that TheraFace Pro right now, and I will click and check out. So it's the immediacy, meeting consumers where they are and kind of getting that conversion at that moment, while also, entertaining everyone else that's going by at the same time. So big focus for us.
I mean, I have more questions, but I actually do want to throw it to the audience. We have mic runners running around, so if you have a question, raise your hand.
Hi, Hallie from Hayward here. The question I had is, I know over the past couple days we've talked about like vanity metrics and how that's been incorporated into data, but how that's kind of been phasing out of more so of reporting back and everything. What would you say are the most important metrics to date, or the most important data to look at when running a campaign, in your opinion?
I think it's highly dependent on what the goal of the campaign is. So for a lower funnel campaign where it's really about promoting a sale, getting someone to the site, and getting them to convert, it's ultimately like you're looking at the eyeballs that you're getting on the ad, and then really what the return on ad spend is. So really tracking every point of the funnel, and where are you seeing drop off? Are you seeing the right quality of traffic? Is your targeting kind of dialed in? And kind of how that is behaving. So it's really kind of looking at those primary and secondary metrics. For more of an engagement campaign, it's a lot more about more upper funnel. It's was it shared? What was the viewability of it? Did people engage with it? I think those are more of, it's really about reaching the most people, and kind of is it resonating with them?
How about for you, Allie?
For me, it's like off-platform metrics. I mean, there's a lot of fascinating metrics in the platform, but for me, it's whatever the expectation was from the content that was being shared. So if it's like a webinar being promoted, looking at registration numbers off-platform, those are the metrics that are more meaningful to us.
Hi, question for B2B. I want to know, it's a little bit difficult compared to B2B to B2C targeting. How do you normally target the potential decision makers for B2B?
That's a great question. There's a lot of great intent data providers out there, like 6 Sense and Bombora, where you can create clusters based off of some sort of product interest. So what we do is we do exactly that. We have a strong understanding of our ICP, what they're looking for, and we build audiences within these third-party data providers. And then we're able to use those audiences as the audiences we target on social platforms. This is why Mountain's able to efficiently run Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns as a B2B brand, is because we're using this intent data to drive it.
Hi, yes, I have a quick question for B2B as well. You had mentioned kind of seeing some success from Instagram. Our company is also B2B and looking to step into that realm. Do you have any advice on that?
I mean, again, it's nice in the sense that you're not competing with a ton of other B2B brands. The thing I would caution on it is to not take the LinkedIn advertising playbook to Instagram. And what I mean by that is I'll scroll through Instagram and I'll see an ad for an ebook on audience targeting or something. I don't know what. And it's like, there's no chance right now that I'm going to sit down while I'm like browsing Instagram and download an ebook to read about audience targeting. And so my point with that is like, well, why are we still advertising if we're not going to get that? We're content with getting the impression, registering with them that we exist and what we do, and relying on other platforms to do the work of actually converting that user. My expectations are low in that sense in terms of what I expect the user to do, but I have no misconception of them downloading an ebook or something like that. So just don't do the LinkedIn thing on Instagram.
Hi. I imagine that, I'm over here, by the way. You're looking around the room. I imagine that working with big creators and celebrities like Patrick Starr and Ryan Reynolds are a big investment for your brands. So I'm wondering how you look at the diversity of your investment, or maybe you look at it like a pie chart comparing those big creator investments to more micro influencers or smaller content creators, and what the ROI looks like.
It's a great question, and it's something that very kind of initiative to initiative, we look at across both our organic and paid campaigns to see what is going to be the right mix in that moment for that audience. So it really is. It may be that for a particular a mom audience, you mentioned that there are kind of more micro influencers that are reaching different demographics that may make a lot more sense. Or maybe if there's a really big breakthrough moment when we're launching a product, it may make sense to get the reach and the awareness of more of a Patrick Starr, or we worked with Carly Kloss also for for TheraFace last year to get kind of that pickup and that reach. So it really is a bit of a balance, and just looking at when you're launching a particular product or kind of at a particular campaign moment, what is going to make the most sense. And then from an ROI standpoint, again, it goes back to what is the objective. For the Patrick Starr initiative, it was really about bringing awareness to holiday and driving sales. So looking at holistically from a return on ad spend and kind of factoring it into that formula, did it drive the lift in sales? Did it drive the lift in organic off platform? How did it kind of holistically kind of factor into the campaign at large?
All right, I think that is all the time we have. Thank you so much for being here. Here are your takeaways. Don't take your LinkedIn strategy to Instagram. Make sure to reference your metadata with your other campaign data, and text Ryan Reynolds your marketing ideas.